So, with the movie Twisters coming out soon, and I will be releasing a review telling you just how bad it is, I figured I should start a series of videos called Underrated Soundtracks. This is mostly about looking at movies that have memorable and unique music. It's less of a focus on technical quality and more about how good of a job the music does in the movie itself. So to start us off, let's talk about Twister. Now, right off the bat, we get a really simple but memorable score that establishes a dark tone. Even though a significant portion of the movie is light-hearted, the characters always take things seriously when a tornado is close, especially when people's lives are at risk. This opening reminds us that we are still talking about very dangerous and sometimes deadly natural disasters. That one motif with low orchestral notes plays multiple times in the movie. Again, it's simple, but it very quickly gets across a sense that something bad is about to happen. Now, of course, the soundtrack isn't all doom and gloom. After a fairly smooth transition from a serious opening, we get this upbeat score that also introduces another motif heard throughout the movie. But now, let's talk about my favorite musical moment in this movie. As a kid, I always liked this scene, but now I have the knowledge to actually explain why. This scene is about the main characters rushing off to try and intercept a tornado. The score plays into this sense of urgency, like the characters really need to get moving. In this track, we also hear another motif that plays throughout the movie. This one isn't dark like the notes we hear in the opening. It's serious, but it's also somewhat triumphant, which works really well with this whole track that's called A Walk in the Woods.
Good God.
The way it's used in the movie, we combine the familiar triumphant motif with these notes. We also introduce an electric guitar, building up to a pretty smooth transition into a Van Halen song. Now, to people who haven't heard it, the idea of transitioning from an orchestral score to Van Halen may sound really jarring, but seriously, just listen to how well this works. Even if you don't like this kind of music, you have to acknowledge that they didn't just make a stock generic score for this movie. They actually wrote the score to account for a transition into a rock song. The rest of the movie has regular songs in it, mostly used diegetically. That's a lot more common in movies. If you have an orchestral score and you have regular songs, they exist independently. They aren't played on top of each other because that just wouldn't make any sense. But this moment in Twister is unique because it combines the orchestra and a rock song by overlapping them. It doesn't just hard cut to the song. We combine familiar notes from the score with these two repeating notes that are preparing us for the opening of Humans Being by Van Halen. No one involved with the music needed to do something like this, but they did it anyway. They put extra effort into the music purely because they wanted to. That is what makes a good soundtrack. Anyway, that's it for this one. I do plan to make more underrated soundtrack videos in the future. Here are some examples that I'd like to talk about. For now, I'm Dracona, and I'm going to go take a walk in the woods.